Hey, welcome back to Leading Edge. Good to have you along. And now to the arts. It is billed as the largest collection of its kind in the world. And it is on display right now, right here in Northwest Ohio. I welcome into Leading Edge Rod Noble, the Executive Director of Schedel Arboretum and Gardens, and also Julia LaBay Darrah, artist, art educator at the University of Toledo, curator of the Blair Museum of Lithophanes, now on display, permanent display, I should add, out at Schedel. Julia, let me start with you as I welcome you in. I know these pieces date back, I think, early, mid-1900s, are going back a ways. Their roots in Europe, but help me and my viewers understand what a lithophane is.
Sure, yeah, actually, they date back to the early 1800s. Lithophanes are porcelain plaques, and when backlit, detailed images appear. Artisans first would carve into wax and then make a plaster mold. And then from that plaster mold, they could pour in porcelain slip and fire these in a kiln, and we get beautiful images that appear when backlit.
Almost a forerunner, you tell me, to 3D photography?
Yes, actually, forerunner to photography, video, film. These are like the precursor to those.
Rod Noble, I want to get you in here. These were collected by a Toledoan, right? Laurel Blair.
Right.
He traveled the world. He would collect these things. He would eventually leave them to the city of Toledo, but with stipulations. And they were kind of, in a way, being evicted from their prior home over at Toledo Botanical Gardens. And you saw the perfect solution.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that just seemed to be meant to be. You know, yeah. Laurel Blair was a real estate guy, real estate developer, real estate salesperson in Toledo. And he collected music boxes. And one time he was looking at some music boxes and there was a lithophane. And he just thought, what in the world is this? This is something else. So long story short, he traveled the world. He collected, like you said, almost 3,000 of these pieces. It said that he bought every single lithophane that he ever laid his eyes on.
How about that?
And in 1993, as he was approaching the end of his life, he wasn't married, didn't have children, and he was trying to decide what to do with these pieces in this largest collection that he had accumulated in the world. Yeah. And he looked around and finally landed with the city of Toledo. And he lived in the Old West End. And for years, he had this museum there where he'd invite people in and they could take a look. And after he passed away in 1993, that donation agreement had been consummated. And it had some stipulations, like you said. One was that if the city of Toledo were no longer able or willing or whatever the circumstance was to display and make these pieces available to the public, that the city was responsible for finding another entity to take over.
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, when Metro Parks Toledo took over the management of the Toledo Botanical Garden, which is where the collection ended up in the Blair Museum of Lithophanes and was there for many years. There was an article in the newspaper, actually, and I saw it, and it explained what was going on with Metro Parks and TBG and the Blair Museum. So we reached out to a group called the Friends of the Blair, and discussions ensued, and lo and behold, the stars aligned, and we reached an agreement with the Friends of the Blair and the city of Toledo, and the city donated the collection to the Schedel Foundation, and it opened on April 1st this year in its new permanent home.
Julia, and Julia, talk about that, because it's in the Manor House out at Schedel. And folks, if you haven't been to Schedel, you got to get there. You won't believe you're in Northwest Ohio, but you got to get there. But you tell me, it's just like the perfect setting for these things, and a collection that contains, as Rod said, just under 3,000 pieces. You can only display, you're displaying what, 250 at a time. Seems to me you'll be able to guarantee a new experience year after year with new things showing for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, that's the goal. Our goal is to keep the museum fresh, keep the collection rotating, and keeping viewers to come out and to see the new pieces.
I know, Ryan, you were saying that so far in this spring, your visitorship is up. I know you've always envisioned Schedel as not only the stunning garden setting that it is, but a perfect location to spotlight art like this. You have some sculptor out there. you've had performing art, you've hosted really high quality, high level jazz shows, and now this on a permanent basis. And also something else, talking about art, we should mention going on right now.
Absolutely. Back in 2001, we began to incorporate sculpture into the landscape at the gardens. The idea was to demonstrate the harmony between nature and the arts. And we've got 25 pieces of large scale sculpture that's scattered throughout. And we have had numerous performing arts shows out there. And it led us to change our mission from not only providing opportunities for people to have the ability to study and appreciate nature, but also the arts. And right now on display in the McAleer Gallery in the Brown Welcome Center on the grounds of Schedel Gardens is a juried exhibition from members of the Toledo Federation of Art Society. Some fantastic works out there. They were juried. We've actually seen quite a few of these pieces sell. And this coming Sunday is a reception that will allow folks to come out and take a look at these pieces. It runs from 2 to 4 o'clock this Sunday, and it will be in the Welcome Center in the McAleer Gallery. We'll have some wine and cheese for you, and there'll be some discussions of art, and the winners will be revealed of that juried show. So
that
encourage everybody to come out and see that.
Runs through June 30th. But again, if you want to get
Right.
out and meet the artist, the reception, if you're watching on Sunday morning, you're looking for something to do this afternoon, how about 2 until 4? Saturday night, people, it's 10:30. Get to bed and then get out there tomorrow from 2 until 4. It should be a great time. I know, Julie, one of the things for you is that this is on now display, and we've got about a minute or so to go, for many more hours than it was even in its heyday over at the Toledo Botanical Gardens. When can people come see y'all in your lithophane collection, largest in the world?
Yeah, we are open Tuesday through Sunday from 10 to 4, and then Thursday we're open until 8.
Okay, Tuesday through Sunday, 10 to 4 all those days. You can even got some evening hours. You're working folks, you can only get out there in the evening. You can do that on Thursday evening. There's an admission, Rod, for the exhibit, or how are we doing it?
$12 to come into the gardens, and that includes walking around the 17-acre estate and seeing some 10,000 annual plants and some really neat, rare, and unusual species of trees. And that includes the Blair Museum of Lithophanes too. So there's no extra charge.
That's included in your entry price. Wow.
That's right.
Folks, you got to check it out. And then, by the way, folks, Elmore now, correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, it has its own exit off the turnpike. I mean, Noble knows people, okay? Can I just say that? He get things done. So he has his own turnpike exit out there. And your address, you're on South Portage. Do that for me.
Yeah, we're at 19255 South River Road. We'll just call South Portage River Road in Elmore. If you're at I-75 and the turnpike, you jump on the turnpike, you're 15 minutes away from exit 81. You get off exit 81 and you're about a minute and a half from Schedel Gardens.
Get off the exit, folks, and you're a minute and a half from Eden, the Garden of Eden. You won't. It's just thank you so much, Rod Noble and Julia LaBay Darrah, for sharing this this great exhibit with us, folks. Get out and enjoy, and I'll be right back.